2, 1. Check, see. Boom. All right.
On tour right now.
There we go.
Hit me on my auto phone.
Welcome to the New OGs, new podcast here on People of Comedy. New OGs is brought to you by Gen Renew. Let's kill that music. Let's bring the music down.
We got to take that Gold Haze down just a little bit. We let the Gold Haze rock, baby.
Can't rap over that?
It's called a come up.
Don't let XL start rapping. We can't let that happen.
Whoa. Do not judge me on my...
On the singular flow that I've heard you on?
Yeah, that was horrible, man. That was at 4 a.m. after a lot of stuff happened. Okay?
Welcome, everybody out there who's been waiting patiently, and those that will listen to us later. One of the first conversations we're going to have with our producer is making sure that we're on everything. We're going to get on Google Podcasts. We're going to be on all the other shit. But right now we're on YouTube. We're live on YouTube. If you're watching this, chat is open. We may not answer your questions because it's our first episode, and this really isn't fucking about you today. So,
yeah, we're talking about us.
Just so you know, we are sponsored. Gen Renew is brought to you by, the New OGs is brought to you by Gen Renew. Gen Renew is helping homeowners in Illinois take advantage of a program that lets them get solar power at no cost.
Solar power at no cost?
Yep. If you are a single-family homeowner in the state of Illinois, you can lower your electric bill, raise the value of your home, and do something good for the environment without paying a single dollar out of your pocket to do so. In fact, Gen Renew can only work with you if they can save you money. Gen Renew has a 5-star A+ ranking with the Better Business Bureau, and they even pay money and give gifts for referrals. So head over to www.illinoisgr.com and get in contact for a free consultation or to refer someone you know. The New OGs is also brought to you by People of Comedy. That is the podcast channel that we're on. Here are some of the other podcasts you can catch on the channel. You can catch on Sundays Hot Shit with Toby McMullen. Toby McMullen is the host of that one. On Mondays at 7, Blended with Michael Robinson. That is obviously about smoking weed. That would be the only thing that a podcast called Blended would be about.
That's the only thing with Michael Robinson it could be about.
Absolutely. Then following that, 9 o'clock, you got Kilgallen's Pub with Joe Kilgallen. Tuesdays coming soon, you got Cult of Personality, which is a... let's see. It's by Dave. It's from Dave Metz. Is that his?
Yeah.
Is that his podcast?
Yeah,
okay.
There's so it's coming soon, so we don't have it.
There's some pre-recorded.
What's up?
Pre-recorded episodes for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he recorded 5 before he passed.
Okay.
Okay.
Dave Metz was, if you're familiar with People of Comedy, Chicago comedy, Dave Metz was a Chicago comic originally from Detroit, Michigan, who passed away recently. And
super dope dude.
Started a podcast here and record some episodes, and they're going to be releasing on here pretty soon, which is pretty awesome. Thursdays is a great podcast called Legal Aliens with
Joey and Abby
and Abby Sanchez. Abby, my twin.
Hey man, I gotta tell you, this is, and I know it wasn't hate. It's
you
just
he
doesn't like the comparison because he just like he's like Bobby left. Like it's just all about me now. Like it's just me, right? I remember when I told him you were coming back.
Yo, look
like
up
he
Legal,
was the only person that
go find Legal Aliens podcast on Instagram and look at them pictures and tell me that he will not be angry that we are now on the same podcast network. Too.
Oh my God, he like it was a frown, and I know it had nothing to do with how he feels about you. It was more about just tired of like another dude that looks like him. It was so funny. I died laughing on the spot.
It's great. I'm glad that I'm sad that he hates it because I love it. I love the fact that everybody confuses us.
Is there a third one of you? Is it just you?
Is there a third?
Yeah,
one?
Joe Rogan.
Is there a third
I
one?
thought
of
it was
you?
a third one on the scene, like a third bald head dude with a beard that kind of
Bram Funk was around for a while.
Yeah.
Bram Funk is like a smaller version.
Shout out Bram Funk.
Yeah. Shout out to Bram Funk in a
No,
podcast.
did he cut his beard?
He still got the beard going.
I thought he changed something up about his
He
look.
looks like an evil wizard. He's got the double white lines.
Dude,
like
with a name like Bram Funk, that's,
right. He's either got to be a 70s
wizard.
disco star or he's got to be an evil wizard. Those are the only two options.
I am so disappointed that he doesn't have like mad, dope, deep Parliament cuts that he like remixed or something.
Oh my God, he should be
some
DJ.
Parliament Funkadelic stuff joints that he remixed personally. This is the Bram Funk collection.
Friday mornings, you can catch Hood Nerds with Ty Riggs, Maddie Robinson, and Jarrell Scott Barnes. That is a show about the latest graphic novels, anime, video games, and other nerdy-ass shit from dudes that probably don't look like they should know about that unless you're 22 years old. And then Saturday coming very soon, Parental Advisory with Leah Berman, one of the comedy MILFs of the Chicago scene.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, let's
shit.
keep it real. Let's keep it real. I'll be honest with you, man. I don't really like dipping my pen in the comedy ink.
Hey,
no
no
but
disrespect
I remember.
to anybody, but Leah Berman would be happy to have people say that there is a Leah Berman post-baby bounce back. She is.
Oh yeah, she's hot.
She works her
She's
ass
crashing.
off for
Yeah.
it, and she deserves.
She was hot before the baby.
recognition for
She's
doing her
hot
shit.
now.
Right, she's doing her thing. So shout out to Leah. That's
she's
my
OG.
sister. That's my sister, man.
For real,
That's
OG.
that's an OG also.
She the first show that I was able to be a part of producing in Chicago used to be. I was a cast member of the Edge Comedy
Yup.
Collective. And yeah. Oh, I met you. Is that where I met you originally?
Yes, everybody
yes.
meets everybody.
Yes, and Leah was one. Leah, me, Martin, a couple other OG people.
Mark Plasek.
Playsick,
Oh, yeah,
yes,
Mark
Playsick.
Yeah.
I was just gonna name the people still in the game. No, I'm mad love to Mark Playsick. He out there slinging houses and things.
Yeah.
like crazy.
But those are the other
Probably
shows that you
ripped
can
as
catch
fuck.
on this network. This is the new OGs. This is a brand new podcast. We are coming to you weekly, Friday, 5:30. You can catch us live on YouTube from now on. That will be the idea, 5:30, 6 o'clock, somewhere in there. We'll be coming to you, spitting to you for about an hour and giving you maybe a little bit of different perspective on things. But you should know who the hell we are before we get started. So I will kick it off by introducing my man, Xavier Lamont. How are you, my man? How you doing?
Man, I'm groovy. I'm always groovy. This is I'm excited about this. I'm sorry to get this launched. If anybody doesn't know me, Chicago comic, been in the game for a few years. Got some stuff out there. Mostly social, political. That's what I do. But I like having fun. I mix it up, man. I don't like being boxed into like, yo, what kind of comedy you do? Like,
Right.
I have funny shit, nigga. That's what I do.
You,
I do shit that's funny. Like, whatever I feel like talking about.
Where
so.
do you lean, man? Do you like politically? Do you find yourself falling?
I'm liberal as fuck.
You're
I'm liberal as fuck. Like
tree hugging.
I used to do the lie of I did the reverse. Most people are young and they're liberal, and then they get older, they get more conservative.
Were you one of those?
I went the
liberally.
reverse. I was
fiscally
super conservative when I
piece-
was younger.
piece of shit?
I was raised Muslim, so I was like raised Muslim. So like I was raised. I literally there was a Red Fox thing that he said, if you see me with a white woman, call the police. The bitch got a gun on me. That was me.
To be clear,
when
you
I
were
was
raised Nation of Islam Muslim. You weren't.
Yeah, I said black.
raised-
I said black
You
Muslim.
weren't
Most people
raised
know what
like
that means.
We
yeah.
from Mecca Muslim.
No. I was raised Nation
Like bean
Islam
pies and
Muslim.
bow ties, right?
Bean pies, bow
Okay.
ties, final calls.
Right.
Fruit of Islam, the whole.
Right.
The whole
I've seen
shebang.
Farrakhan speak twice. I'm with you.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've seen him speak. But anyway, it's
This is going somewhere, by the way. This is.
But no, like it's not. It's not. I'm just randomly telling people facts about me. But no, yeah. But as I got older, I had a realization that I'm fiscally conservative, but I'm socially liberal is bullshit because you have to fund those things that you're socially liberal about.
Right.
Like if you're not willing to fund those things socially liberal about, you really don't give a fuck about them and you're lying.
Correct.
You just don't want to sound like the asshole and say, I'm greedy. I want to keep all my shit.
Everybody should have their rights as long as I don't have to do anything for it. Is essentially what that means.
Also, everybody who says that, almost everybody that I know that calls themselves conservative, with the exception of a few very, very well-off people that I know, almost everyone else are morons because they're fighting for millionaires when they don't have $100,000 in the bank.
Yeah,
Like I know a few very well-off millionaires who literally would just be like, yeah, lower taxes, motherfucker. Like that's it. They don't care about shit else. They're like, yeah, my taxes are lower. They want to lower my taxes. That's all they care about.
Well, we still come from, you and I still come from a generation. That's part of what the show is going to be about. We still come from a generation where there was a strong belief that if you did, you could. Right? Like, if you just did these XYZ things, then you could go be the lawyer and make six figures and be the. But, like, we were also the first generation that realized that is not what the fuck is happening.
Well, we had the rug pulled up because, dude, our dads, not our dads per se, but
probably our dads too, though.
Dads of our generation, of our era,
probably our.
You could our dads somewhat. No, what I'm saying is you could have a job at Ford or some Caterpillar. I'm from A-Town, Aurora, A-Town, stand up, West Side, JC.
Those are all hey white people. Those are not gang. Those are not gangs.
Those are all gang things. Every one of those GD niggas. Those are all gang things. JC West Side. But No, Caterpillar and Dial Soap.
Also gangs, by the way.
Yeah. Those like employed hundreds, maybe even thousands of families, and that shit is gone. Like there was a time just 30 years ago, 25, 30 years ago, where you can have a job at a factory and you your like wife stayed at home and raised your boys and girls and whatever. Yeah. Like that was just 30 years ago. You could do that. Like if you meet somebody now that has a stay-at-home spouse, you're kind of like, word? Like, what do you do?
Yeah.
Especially if they have nice shit.
Unless you live in Georgia, right? Like if you live in Mississippi, if you live in Mississippi or Georgia, you find that, but you're not finding that up here because not only do you need both incomes, but also both people are interested in proving they can go work, right? They're very much trying to handle their own shit because they know that the relationship isn't going to last.
10 years ago. It's a lot.
Like, no, I need to keep. I'm gonna keep working, okay? Because really, 57%, nigga, 57%.
You wanna know something? I when my parents, but I remember.
Oh, I'm black, by the way. I'm gonna say, nigga, if you're watching this,
you're like, wait a minute.
I ain't pulling out the 23andMe for y'all, but just let me tell you, I got the papers. We official. Like this ain't no Elizabeth Warren bullshit.
This is also not a Chris Rock scenario. Like, XL just let that white guy keep saying nigga and nothing happened.
Yeah.
Like. What it is? It's like halfway that.
Like I said, I'm growing the beard out so I don't get confused for Cory Booker.
It's 40.
Okay,
I guess it's 53% that I'm letting that happen. 53%.
I don't know.
Whatever, but
like
I don't give a fuck.
42.
But I ain't give a fuck about Chris Rock letting Louis say this shit.
Listen,
either.
man, if you the one brother in the room, you control all passes, and if you let it slide, it's on you.
Because in that moment, like I hate looking back on some shit like that. Like, it's not like it's a hate crime where you could go, well, you can't look back on. Like, no, that shit was horrible then. It's horrible now.
Right.
Like, in that moment, in that time, I don't know what Chris and Louis' relationship was. I do know Louis has
writing Pootie Tang
brilliant.
For Chris
Yeah,
Rock.
I also know that Louis C.K. has a brilliant fucking joke about the word nigga I love.
If he wrote a movie like Pootie Tang for me, he could say nigga around me whenever he wanted to. And this is post all the dick shit.
But you know what's crazy though? You know what's crazy? There's a whole bunch of black folks mad that he wrote Pootie Tang.
I know.
Like, but here's the thing. This is what's fucked
they
up.
Extra
they
mad.
was mad after the fact.
Right.
They were like, they loved Pootie Tang, and then they found out. They was like, this is some bullshit.
When the thing came out with Louis recently, there were people that were shocked that there were people that just found out like a month ago that
he wrote Pootie Tang. This is about Pootie Tang. Like,
so just to establish who you are as part, like married.
Me?
Yeah.
Fuck no.
Not married.
Dear God,
okay.
no.
Never ever been married?
No, I've been engaged twice.
All right.
So.
In your 40s?
Yes.
Engaged twice in your 40s, kid.
I have one kid, 14. He's
job?
Amazing. Hell yeah, nigga, I got a kid.
Listen, you and I both know motherfuckers that got kids and ain't got no job.
They can't get a job. Never mind.
can't get a job. That's discussion too. Yeah,
felons. But So 1970 something, born and raised. I got a 14-year-old boy who's amazing. I'm a suburbanite. I live I'm from A-Town, Aurora, Illinois. If you don't know where the fuck that is, good for you. You're probably an okay person. You probably like things worked out for you. I live in the Naperville area now, but I really claim Aurora. Like I'm not Naperville people. I just shop there and live there and pay taxes there.
I've just lived 98% of my life there. But when I go to sleep at night,
I'm Aurora to my bone. To my bones. I just want to be around them niggas all the time. But I just want to be around them niggas all the time. Like, I want to just be able to go say what's up and leave.
Right.
But them my people. Them my folks. Them my folks to my
I hope,
to the world
please
blow
don't
up,
rob me.
To the world blow up. I just
please
you
don't
sound
rob me.
so much like my neighbors. So, all right, that's enough. That's enough about me. We'll talk about me in the comedy game and shit like that. I'm nice. Niggas know me. And if you don't know me, nigga, get a video. Like Google some shit.
I'm trying to establish.
I'm the only Xavier Lamont on the internet.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to establish because
amazing.
obviously this podcast is called The New OGs, and it is about we're at this age, right? Like I'm like you. I'm in my early 40s. I'm from Chicago.
Yes,
I went to grade school, high school here.
What high school? Shout it out.
I went to Lincoln Park High School.
That's what's up.
Shout out to the Lions. They got
the Lincoln Park Lions. That's who they are.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
They got a cat.
Y'all probably got
like
some Disney knockoff somewhere mural in your building somewhere.
We got a Disney knockoff.
It's some Mustafa.
Somebody from our school has been successful because it looks like it's been remodeled a little bit, and I haven't put no.
Yeah, Lincoln Park. Y'all got a couple.
I ain't putting nary a dollar into it.
You didn't contribute to the alumni fund.
Nah,
it's a couple celebrity types.
Yeah, there's a couple catchers come out of there, which is cool. Been married. I got a kid too. So so here's the thing: we're dads. We've got teenagers now, both of us. My kid just turned 13. She has probably lied about her age so she can watch this podcast and then tell her mother everything.
Yeah. Your daughter is unique in this sense.
Shout out to my
She's
ex-wife.
beautiful,
I'm broke. I know
and she looks like you
on the low, right.
which is a weird
hard
thing to say.
Pull off.
It's
right?
it's a really hard thing to do.
Yeah.
She looks just like you, but she's
the
beautiful.
The female version of me is it's a gorgeous thing. The
It's
male
hard,
version is still questionable.
It bothers me. I hope we're never stranded on the island because I know what you look like as a girl.
Now that actually bothers me more than it bothers you. I'm gonna be honest with you.
I'm telling you, I know what you look like as a girl.
As someone who have to fend that off, that bothers me more than it bothers you. I tell you, I would do wind sprints the minute we landed on that island.
that would be it because I'd be done.
It'd be the fastest way I'd ever build a raft. Not even.
We thought we'd never.
It was either my booty hole or I was gonna swim to another island. Let's see. I grew up in the rave scene here and the hip hop scene in Chicago. So I was in. I came up with EDM music, which is still the thing I listen to the most. So the thing about us is that we're getting older.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
EDM is what you listen to the most.
I still listen to EDM the most.
Here's the thing: the further I get away from living in Miami, the further I get from living in Miami, the less I listen to EDM. Like as soon as I go to in Miami, I will be caught up on everything that's new and vibing and kicking.
Yeah, I mean, so my sister, who's 9 years older than me, is at the high end range of Generation X, which is what our podcast centers on. Right, this podcast is about how Generation X is kind of the lost middle child in society right now. That's where we are, right? We've lived through so much shit. We've come through so much, but we have no idea what the fuck we're doing.
We Jan and Peter Brady like a motherfucker.
And it happened. Actually, Jarrell Scott Barnes, who is on the Friday morning podcast called Hood Nerds, he was the one who first called me an OG, and I was like, nigga, I'm not old enough to be. Please, I don't know what to do if this place catches fire that we're standing in right now, except to push you down and run. So, like, I don't know if an OG is the thing that you should classify me as. You know what I mean? And so that's kind of where so I want to set the stage of where we come from. We are people that came through that. Like, I grew up on house music. Like, I didn't grow. This is not that. There was a generation before us that still was growing up on, like, not showing people below the hips. You know what I mean? And we grew up with Madonna. That's a different experience. But now we're at this age where we have to be in charge of a lot of shit, but we don't know what the fuck we're doing, right? Like,
we're supposed to be in charge. Well, it's a unique thing because the millennials have like gadgets and tech and stuff like that, and some of them are just kind of leapfrogging and doing stuff. So we're like, oh wait, oh you're gonna do that? Oh, well, I thought that's you. Okay, okay.
Yeah, and it goes a little quicker than it was.
Yeah, like oh damn. But so you got that, and then you got the. Who would it be for us?
The baby boomers. Yeah, baby boomers were for us.
Yeah, they're not letting go. Like, they're holding on.
We're bracketing this thing. And, like, you know, we came through all of that shit, right? Like, and I think where you and I tend to fall, which is where we see ourselves as different from a lot of the voices that you hear that are in our age range, is that we also would like to kill and murder all the old people.
Yeah, fuck them. Fuck them. Fuck them.
You know what I mean? Like, when it, like, you know, and we'll talk about why it makes sense to stand that way. But, like, honestly, more times than not, our opinions are going to end up falling more in favor of what millennials think. And our goal, like, I'm always striving to be on the edge of what's happening because I like the wisdom that's come from getting older. But I am not into old people shit at all. Like,
not at all.
I'm not trying to wear khakis. I'm not trying to, like, you know, let my body degenerate into nothingness. I'm not trying to. Well, I'm still trying to be in the club till 4 a.m. at the place where the clubs are open till 4 a.m. Thank you, Chicago.
Yes. Being Gen X at this is a very nice sweet spot because, like you said, we were there for the invention of hip hop and different joints like that. Like, I'm cool. Like, I'm not like there's other motherfuckers that's like they was corny when they was in their 40s. Like,
yeah,
nah, son.
Well, that's the thing is like you know you look at the generation just ahead of us, and there's this push even with guys around our age who are like they're excited to stop being young. You know what I mean? Like, I can't wait till I don't have to go out to the bar to see people, and it's like. What the fuck is the joy of life if it's not occasionally going to the bar to get drunk with some people?
There you go.
Especially with young ass motherfuckers. But like,
make a few bad decisions.
And it's weird because we're like the first latchkey generation, right? Like the boomers before us all had moms and dads who were telling them, and we're in this lost space because. I mean,
were
both your parents home? Did you ever? Both your parents work, right?
Yeah, my parents split, and my mom worked midnight, so. Even when she was home, she was asleep. Yes, she was passed out
in the streets.
Yes, but you want to know something? You want to know two things. My mom was strict as shit and scary as hell. I didn't figure out until I was a junior in high school, and until a girl I was dating was literally like, "Wait a minute, your mom leaves at 11:30 and you don't come back out." And I was like, and I was like always like in the crib playing video games and stuff like that.
Taking advantage of the fact you could be breaking all the rules.
Yeah, she was like, I could have been coming over at midnight, like since we've been dating, and I was just like, oh yeah, I didn't think you would, and wait, you want to do, so. Yeah. That was the corruption point. But up until then, I was actually a decent fucking kid.
All the rules and everything.
Yeah, I was nerdy as shit. I was like, and then she did two things. She did that, and she was like, I'd never cut school before, and she was like, I'll just call in and say I'm your mom. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Oh,
like,
man.
I didn't know that.
I cut school all the time. So I went to Lincoln Park, and Lincoln Park had an open campus policy, and so literally you could just walk the fuck off and get on a bus and go home. And like when we were out of season, like. I had my junior year. My last class was at 12:30. I had 2 study halls, and then if I didn't have practice that day, I literally was loose at 12:30.
Wow.
I was just like,
see,
I'm out. I'm not. Whatever we want to do, we're doing. That was all that's going. But like, there was nobody to check on us because my mom had to work for money and wasn't getting home till 7 o'clock at night.
See,
and it's weird because our generation was one where like from the time I was on CTA buses on my own at 8 years old. I was on Chicago city buses paying with a token at 8 years old. And like the generation that came after me and us are not allowed outside. They are driven. Like the generation before us got bussed everywhere. Our generation literally walked in Siberia. Like the generation before us that talked about walking a mile to school in snow, those were all people that lived in the country. Everybody in the city rode a bus. They all got on buses.
I'm pretty sure
our generation was just like, nigga, find a way to school. Good luck. Hope you don't die. Remember, that's why they were afraid of all the kids getting snatched when we were kids because they're like, everybody's divorced. We got to put them on buses. Kids would not show up at class, and they're like, must have been stolen by a satanic cult. Must have been. Dude, that was the game. I
used to take the Metro into the city from the fucking burbs. I was like 9 or 10, but I was bigger because I'm huge. And so, but I was like 9 or 10. I'd get off the train, walk down like 4 or 5 blocks to the Red Line, and then take the Red Line out to the South Side, and my cousins would be there waiting for me to catch the bus back to a family crib on the South Side. Like, and my son, 14, doesn't even know how to catch the bus. Like, he hasn't caught the bus since he was a baby. When he was a baby, and he used to carry around in a Bjorn. Walk around. That's like the last time he's been on a bus.
13. I wouldn't trust her to go anywhere without an adult right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I could see someone putting her on a plane and then someone waiting for her when she came off the plane, but that is about the most.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. Like, there's a double evolution. Obviously, there's the physical traits and things like that change.
Right.
But also there is an evolution in our culture and life. Like, I was kind of getting on my son. It bothered me that he didn't know like which direction things were and all that stuff. And he finally said to me one time, he goes, "Where would I ever be where I didn't have my phone?" And I was like, he's like, why do you care about this?
Those moments.
Yeah, because he was like, why do you care about this so much? Like, I have a phone. Like, I'll just charge my phone and figure out where to go. And I was like,
As long
I
as
didn't
that's
have that.
available.
No, I was like, I didn't have that when I was your age. That wasn't an option for me.
Right.
I had to learn.
You just had to know where the hell
survival
shit was,
skills.
and
Yeah.
occasionally you would just walk in the like. I remember when
oh God, so
I
many
was
times
I was in San Diego in 1998 with my boy Bean and my ex-wife. We were just dating at the time, and we got into an argument in downtown San Diego. And out of anger and just like being in the weird. Probably fucked up. We just got out of the car in downtown San Diego and just walked away, and then had to be like, oh shit, we now have to find the hotel. No cell phones, no maps, no nothing. We just wandered literally through San Diego at night because one, I was really mad, but also we had no technology to help us.
Yeah, there was nothing to help. You couldn't even
No.
call a cab
No.
because there was you didn't have a cell
So
phone.
there is that evolution of that, and I get that now because we don't. I mean, you and I both. We don't get in the car without putting on maps. Everywhere we go, we get mapped everywhere. I like it. It's good. It lets me know where the cops are. That's
Boom.
one of my main issues. I need to
so
know where
huge,
the cops
so
are.
huge.
But like we were also that first generation that dealt with like the influx of crack. We were, which is important because we were a generation whose parents just got wiped away, right? Like we were the first generation. Like today, daddies just leave because they don't need to commit to nothing, right? Like it's just like, oh, this is what dads do. We just we're out.
Yeah.
We just provide the sperm and then we pay the child support. That's what we do, except for like a couple white dudes in Atlanta and everybody else. Everybody else runs, right? All the other dads run, and so it's just a bunch of single parents running around.
Gang of single
That's
parents.
pretty much it. But like we were the first generation where that
Stepdaddy
hit,
shark.
and it wasn't just that our dads like they didn't just leave. Like our dads either were running around on crack or in jail for selling crack.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. They were on crack or in jail for selling
I mean,
crack.
that was it. That was
Or running so they would not be in jail.
Right, or they were on the run so they wouldn't have to be in jail for either selling or using crack.
Crack,
That was so like, and so when people now are like, "Oh, you don't know how to bake bread," I'm like, "No, I don't know how to bake. Like,
Dude.
you don't know how to shave your face. I don't know how to shave.
Dude,
I'm sorry."
had a real
I
real
watched
life.
I watched a bunch of Gillette commercials, and they did not teach about shaving your face. They taught a whole different lesson.
I was hanging out with two other comics once. The comic was moving, and we had I had to tie some shit to my truck to help him out. And we had like to get rope, the moving rope and all shit, and we
dude.
tie it down.
Did they ask
And
you
then
about
we
knots?
tried to we tried the three of us, three grown ass men, and we tried to do knots, and none of
Three
us
fatherless men.
Yes, three fatherless men. We all were like trying to like put together. Like I know how to do a regular ass knot, but I was like,
Yeah.
that's not the knot you do for this.
I could tie a gym shoe knot.
Yeah,
That's the one-
exactly,
that was the last
exactly.
knot my dad
That's
taught
it,
me
that's
before
it.
he disappeared.
The bunny ear knot, bam. Bunny ear knot is not for a mattress on your roof, my nigga. It's not. Hey,
the wrong
hey,
knot.
check it out. If you out there listening,
If-
don't do the bunny ear knot if you got a mattress on the roof of your fucking car.
Hey, if you're under the age of 50 and you're about to move a mattress, I know you don't know how to tie the proper knot. And-
But see,
unless you grew out on the fucking eastern shore to somebody named Kennedy or some shit, you
But
probably don't know how to tie a knot.
Yeah. You
right?
did some boating and shit like that, or you were molested.
all
and
you
do
waspy niggas out east know how to tie knots.
or if you were molested because you were in the Scouts till you were 16. So, dude, I have a friend. Shout out to my buddy. I can't say his name for what I'm about to say next.
Right. This is
He's
this is how we
Catholic.
take it down off
He's Catholic. He was a not choir boy, altar boy.
Right.
And he was in the Boy Scouts until he was 14. I was
Wow,
like,
that's
how did you not get fucked?
That's a-
like how you dodged so many dicks.
Wow, that's a lot of pressure.
Yes. Yeah.
That's an escape. He should probably write a book about
Something like you dodged so many dicks. He's a great guy. He's a great guy. He's such a great guy that I'm pretty sure he didn't get fucked.
I don't know if
He's
he's.
such a great guy.
I don't know if you're. I don't know if somebody doesn't want to fuck you. Are you a great guy? Are you?
He's you know what? He is kind of an asshole. He's
Yeah.
like one of those assholes that like you're glad you know him. You're glad he's your asshole.
Yeah.
But you can see how other people didn't like him.
It's
Yeah.
it's
So
weird.
that could be it.
We just we didn't get a lot of leadership, right? There was not a lot of.
Yeah, we had to figure out a lot of shit on our own.
Our leadership, even from the top down, was like Reagan and Bush, who were not I mean, we're both black enough. Reagan and Bush are not ideal models for us at all. Those are not good years for anybody who did, and for anybody who didn't have money. Like, if you didn't have money, those were bad years. That was the whole like greed is good time. That was the time. That was the time when this whole taxing that people are talking about now, with the whole like we should marginally tax. Like, the years when that stopped were the years of our childhood. That was, they brought crack. So here's what happened in the 80s. If you're trying to figure out where our mindset is coming from, when we're kids, they bring crack into the country in mass droves. They separate the way that you can actually put money into politics. So now corporations put a much bigger say into shit. Dads disappear across the country worldwide. There's nobody teaching anybody anything. And we mostly are listening to Chuck D.
And they changed a lot. Oh,
Eazy-E and Nirvana.
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's
yeah, like, well, we keep talking about like the crack thing, because here's the thing.
My Billy Joel, we didn't start the fires playing, and we're just like, this is not our fault. You guys, we don't know what's going on. Our dads are gone. Our moms are working.
Mom's working all the time. Dad's gone, and we had to figure shit out on our own.
Yeah,
I like both of our dads are passed, so. Like,
so we can blame them a lot easier.
Yeah. I don't have to worry about him fucking me up after he hears this podcast. Like, hey, boy.
but if you're 40, like, think about your dad, and rarely is he somebody who's tight.
You know what the crazy thing? You know what's crazy? With very few exceptions, even the cats that I know whose dad were around, I also know that dad had like side pieces and shit. Like, they got a brother
the dads
that
are around
is, like,
shit.
was a friend in our crew, and I was like, oh wait, y'all more than friends? Y'all got a daddy together.
Yeah, there's all some dumb shit going on. And so, our heroes at the time are also heroes that were later back. We look now back on those people and we're just like, oh, that was not a good hero at all. Like, we had Mike Tyson as a hero for a long time.
You know what though? Mike Tyson is still a hero, because I feel like all that shit happened to him.
He's a hero now.
Yeah,
he's a hero now. I think mostly because he's embraced the flaws that he had when he was younger, and has been real about the fact that, like, being that famous that young is not a good thing.
I'm about to say something. We're going to end the podcast right now, because I'm about to say something I know I'm going to catch flack on. I still question his conviction.
I do too.
In the 90s, because
I do too. But I was also reading The Final Call a lot in 1992, which
no. Here's why. I
which is a Nation of Islam newspaper.
Here's why I still question it, because
that was when I was going
recently. There's a quote of Mike Tyson very recently. Somebody asked him, "Do you have any regrets?"
Yeah,
for about you getting incarcerated. He goes, "Yeah, I wish I would have actually raped the bitch." He said that, and in my personal viewpoint, now it might just be his mind. In his mind, he could be wrong, because in his mind, what he thinks was acceptable was not acceptable.
Right.
I'm fully willing to accept that.
Correct.
I am also.
He may have been like, what I did wasn't rape, but it was totally rape.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I am willing to accept that. Right. And anybody, before you add us and come at me, understand that I do understand and accept that. I also think that he was a very target. He was a very easy target. Like, Robin Givens came on TV and said he punched her in the face. Where, bitch? Like, this. He knocked out dudes my size completely. Right. She is 98 pounds.
She should have not a face.
Yeah, her face should look like she should look like the elephant bitch. She should look like the elephant man.
She should look like Artie Lang.
She should she should
like Artie Lang's nose.
Yeah, like she did cocaine for 25 years.
She should literally knock the color out of her face.
Yeah. She shouldn't even be Robin Givens.
She should look like a fat dock worker from New Jersey by the time.
Give, because that nigga knocked the end of her name off. Like, Give.
Right.
She can't.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that want to take pieces out of famous people when they get there, and he suffered that because he was also not necessarily he wasn't the brightest person in the world at the time.
At the time, I don't think he's the brightest person now. I just think he's got common sense because he's learned from his areas. I mean, he's not scoring a perfect SAT anytime soon.
He does have a marijuana ranch now. He's got a
so he's figuring out better things for his money, which is good. I still love Mike Tyson. I never stopped loving Mike Tyson. I'm glad that he don't fight anymore. I'm glad because
dude is 52, top end of the Gen X spectrum, by the way. He's at the high end of that. He's at the far end of that spectrum at 52 years old.
Mike Tyson to this day is the only person that I've ever seen make another person who has chosen fighting as their profession look like they were legitimately afraid in a ring.
Oh yeah,
like you don't make a person who decided to become a fighter look afraid in a fight.
And the reason why I bring him up is because I remember being 10 years old and seeing him and being like, oh, I guess that's how you got to handle yourself with motherfuckers. Like, I guess that's it.
Does that explain? Does that explain barroom brawl, Bobby?
It's so crazy. We were talking about that too, about how it's so easy to get cast with this. With one, once you get spotted with a certain thing, it's like that's your brand forever.
Again, it shocks me how shocked you are.
I threw one punch.
You threw one punch, but you did it in front of a group of men who
Abbey.
have never thrown a punch. And you threw it with confidence, and you hurt somebody. Like, you became like a folk hero in that moment. Like, this comics, that like, if you're in a room of comics, you're in a room full of a bunch of motherfuckers that's never been in fights or never won one.
Yeah. Well, I think, again, that I'm going to circle a lot of things back because this podcast is the new OGs. This is something about like, we are both guys, and even then, we were older than the guys that we were doing comedy with. And so there's a lot of people that just, like, the realities of adulthood are still a thing that many of us are trying to grasp. And we get glimpses of it from time to time. And we have moments where we have to stand up, and sometimes where we regress. And whether you call me knocking somebody out at the Abbey 7 years ago, establishing or regressing.
I'm not going to. I'm not, because I know you don't like carrying that around like as a mantle. So I'm not going to name other incidences. I'm not saying you knock other people out. I'm just saying
that was, I believe, the last.
I'm just saying I can remember one incident when somebody got into a now famous comic friend's face, Lisa Traeger. Somebody got in Traeger's face, and Bobby, you were gone so fast that I didn't even see you get up, but I knew that you had. I didn't see you get up, but I remember the guy got in her face, and somebody said to me, hey, man, you're not going to help her out? And me and another comic at the same time said, Bobby got it. And we turned around, and you were basically escorting the dude out of the room already. And I didn't even see you
funny.
move.
When I first moved back to Chicago, I lived in L.A. for like 4 years trying to work in production, and it didn't go great. And so I moved back to Chicago, and I started doing stand-up, but I was working as a bouncer on the side. I was actually working for Chris Bader at a couple of his locations in the city. And I don't know if we can talk about can we say Chris Bader owns places? He owns places. It's not just.
That's not.
He's not just.
It's a corporation.
He's not
it's
just
public
funny.
knowledge.
That man runs shit.
He talks about it on stage.
Anyway, I don't know. I don't know how big his role is, but anyway, he helped me get a job working as a bouncer or working security at a couple of places. So when I first started going out doing, it was still in my head, and so
big up Chris Bader, by the way.
And also, like, fuck that shit, man. Fuck the idea of being at a comedy show and having somebody, especially regardless of who's on stage, but anybody who's trying to make somebody feel uncomfortable when they're on, like the work that goes into getting up the confidence to go on stage your first time ever, let alone the effort of being like years into it, getting paid for it, and then having somebody not control themselves.
Insanely amazing.
And the lack of like protection for someone who's trying to do that part of their art is pretty absurd.
Yeah, it's insane to me how many people think that heckling is supposed to happen.
Oh yeah,
it's insane to me. Like, I remember when I first started, like my first probably 2 years of comedy, coming across people like, oh, blah blah blah, I do comedy now. Or I heard you're doing comedy. I'm gonna come to your show and heckle you. Why would you do that?
Right.
Why? We're friends. Yeah. Why would you do? Why did you not?
People don't understand like that we are given a specific amount of time. And then we agonize from the moment we're told how much time we have until we get on stage to do that time about making sure that we fit all the things we're trying to say in the amount of minutes we have. Dude, that is literally what we're doing.
I real time agonize.
You know
when
I'm
on stage, no matter what is, no matter what you see.
Do I have enough time to say all this shit that I'm planning to say here?
No matter what you see from the audience, no matter how much confidence you think you see in the audience, I am doing mathematical equations of how many words I have left in the time that I have to say these things that I want to say. Like, I literally switch. When I recorded my comedy special, Gorilla, come soon. When I recorded my comedy special, Gorilla, I literally was moving bits in my head because I was like, oh, wait, no, they react to this. I'm going to move this up here. That means I can't do this. Yeah. There's stuff that I wanted to put on the album that didn't get on the album because
there's comics like Mari DeRosa who can go out and they will just they have jokes ready to go, but they will rely on the type of feedback they get to figure out where they go with that. And that's one version of a thing. And there are some bits that I have that involve some crowd participation, but it is very specified. We all are specified. Even DeRosa is trying to get a particular type of response from people.
Can I say something? I don't think we have enough of that on the scene anymore.
What, just people who are just
we don't have enough
work the audience?
We don't have. It's just we don't have enough
crowd working going on.
It's not just crowd work. Comics that are in the moment, like everybody's like going up and doing their bits. It's not a lot. Yeah. You got Dale McPeak, amazing at it. Dale McPeak is always in the motherfucking moment.
He
man.
is very much.
Love him. Joe McMahon is also another real cool dude. You can be in the moment, stuff like that. There's not enough. There, and when I say enough, I want to be clear. Chicago comedy scene.
Shitting on the Chicago comedy scene. Here he comes, ladies and gentlemen. This guy from Aurora shitting on the Chicago comedy scene.
Really?
Get your Facebook private group page ready.
When I came into the game, I had Mike Leibowitz, DeRosa, Kilgallen, all those cats. When they were still kind of
interactive.
It was interactive. It was fresh. It was like they were trying shit.
Right.
And I am 100% behind the well-written, put together set. Like,
just say it already.
We'll do it, but fucking have some balls, man.
James Webb on
do
the
some
mic.
shit, yeah. Have some
be
balls,
willing to lose.
Have some balls. Stretch your shit, like
be
do
willing
some
to lose.
Shit, like
I like
it's okay.
Aaron Sutherland was at stand up the other night. Shout out to Aaron Sutherland.
Very funny cat. Very funny cat.
And he just leaned into a set that was not. He didn't think it was going great. I was really enjoying it.
For the record, as I'm want to do.
Real talk.
Well, and also like I like if a set is smart and funny and people aren't getting it, I laugh harder because I'm laughing at the fact that
they're not
smart
getting
enough to get it. I'm like, you fucking idiots! You not realize the joke that
Aaron took a break like a little over a year ago. I want to say his last show was at Laugh Factory when he decided he was going to do it. Huh?
It was a stand-up.
I think it was. No. Well, the last maybe he had a show after that one after the one at Laugh Factory. Maybe he had a stand-up. But we were at Laugh Factory. It was a decent audience, not a great audience. The fucker got an ovation because they knew he said something about it being his last show. And I can't remember the comics I was sitting with, but I was sitting with two other comics, and all of us were like, "What the fuck does he mean he's giving up?" Like, he got a fucking ovation. Dude's brilliant.
He's great. It's a weird. You and I both started stand up later. I was in my 30s when I started. You were in your 30s when you started too. So like for us,
late 30s.
We were in our 30s when we started. We'd already been through shit. I'd already been divorced by the time I started. My dad died like a month after I started doing stand up.
Wow.
My dog died like 4 months after that. Like I'd already been through a life of shit. I already worked in sales for like a decade. We'd already, you know what I mean? Like I'd already been through all of that shit. And so, like, I think for us, the need for gratification at the speed in which some of our younger peers seek it is different, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm a lot more comfortable with, like, when it gets here, I'll be ready for it. I've already not gotten gratification for so many things in my life.
It is different. I started out expecting to be.
Deal with waiting for a lot
I thought things were gonna happen a lot faster when I started out. But once I realized, like, nah, man, just do your shit, and like if something happens, whatever. But either way, I'd be really, really happy. Never mind, we didn't get that. But I appreciate what you said. By the way, you just made me think of something that I want to get to. That's why I stopped that thought because I want to stop. You talk about your dad. My boy James Webb working right now with a heavy heart, man. Shout out We appreciate you working, man. We know you're not excited right now, so thank you, bro.
Oh, it's all good, dude. No worries.
No,
this
I'm
is
saying.
fun. Hey,
I'm
this
saying.
is better than the
Lost
alternative.
a member of the family today.
Yeah. Rip. R.I.P. Sandy.
Sandy the guinea pig.
Sandy the guinea pig.
She was cool as fuck.
6 years.
She was
She
a
was
cute
very
little
nice.
cute guinea pig, and my man was sad about it, and he still fucking put the podcast together, and he got us here doing. So that's super dope, dog. That's super dope.
Still launching. That's
Man,
a very adult thing,
You gotta
which
work.
is
You know?
one of the angles that we'll be talking about here. But yeah, I mean, to get back onto the actual topic of
I mean, I headline a weekend of shows a week after my dad died, but you know, I'm fucking with you, dog. I'm fucking with you.
It's good
I'm fucking
for
with you, dog.
comedy.
I got
I'm
on
fucking
stage
with you,
10
dog.
minutes after my dad died, so you know I understand.
I'm fucking with you, man. I'm totally fucking with you, man. I'm totally fucking with you.
But you know, to get back to where we're coming from, like we came through all of it. Like when we were kids, computers were first becoming a household item. When we were in high school, we had pagers in high school. We watched that whole cell phone thing happen to get to where we are now. And honestly, like there was a big hardware boom when we were coming up, which is kind of slowed. There hasn't been a new hardware thing really like VR a little bit, but it's not enough people even really have that, to be honest with you. There's not people aren't getting on VR every day.
I was this close to bringing the VR goggles here.
You know what I mean?
For a bit, but fuck that.
But like we went through all that shit.
Like high end on them.
Like I mean, I remember having a brick. I remember my mom bought her first bag phone. I remember the bag phone that my mom had that became my bag phone at some point. Which turned into a brick phone, which turned into
looks like a dialysis machine.
StarTAC, and then the StarTAC Motorola to the smaller Nextel to the Razr to the fucking touchscreen. I mean, we went through. There's no like we went through. You call a phone number and hope somebody answers.
This is, I guess this is what you would say is a humble brag. But I'm not saying it's a brag because it wasn't me that did it. I had a friend who's an obsessive compulsive shopper,
right?
And she bought a Palm Pilot when they first came out. This is like literally 2001, 2002. The shit was so like avant-garde at the time or whatever technology wise that she bought it. She decided she didn't like it because she really couldn't do any of the things that it was good for. Internet on phones was bullshit, and texting, no one else texted. So I had unlimited texting and unlimited internet on a phone when there was really not that much of a mobile internet. And no one else had text messages, or if you had texting on your phone, it was expensive
remember
as
that
fuck.
shit where you'd have to call somebody after a certain time of night?
Sean, Jen Renew, Vice President of Sales, Jen Renew, Sean Vernon, literally just told me like right before the holidays, he goes, I never told you this, but you were the first person who ever texted me. And I remember you used to text me all the time, and I used to be so fucking angry because I had a limited number of texts. Right. And I'm like, why does he just fucking call?
Remember,
like, why does he just call?
Number.
Why does he keep texting this crap? And he said, you used to do this shit all the time. And now I think about it, and I was like, he was like way ahead of the fucking game. Like, I would hate if somebody calls now. I want you to, like, he totally wants text now.
But without that direction, we're also the group now that, like, I had worked in corporate America up until I was in my early 30s, and then I said fuck that and started chasing entertainment goals. You had worked in corporate America up until your early 30s, and then you were like, fuck that. I mean, I know, as far as I know, we're the first generation that I know of. You just keep spilling water everywhere.
Put it on that table.
I was trying not to show the goddamn.
Like
I was trying not to show the label. I'm not trying to give anybody free advertising, so I was trying to keep it down there.
We don't take it that serious here, bud.
It's a live show.
Put it down.
But because we're that first generation who got to be in our 30s and we're like, oh, I didn't want to do this at all. This is all bullshit. I don't want to do this job. This is, you know what I mean? Like, I know more people who are now in their early 40s, but in their 30s were like, oh, I don't want to be a banker. I want to sing songs, or like I want to paint. Like, this is
well, baby boomers forced that shit,
right,
because they didn't pay us,
right, and, right, and so like there's this mistake that, like, because there is this portion of our age group that is like interested in getting older, that doesn't realize that, like, they're taking the wrong side. Like, the fresh shit is like the Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez shit, right? The fresh shit is the Rashida Tlaib shit, who's also 42, by the way.
Super dope.
You know what I mean? The fresh shit is like what young cats are talking about. The fresh shit is like what Pete Davidson is doing. The fresh shit is what Chris Redd is doing. The fresh shit is not what Orrin Hatch is doing.
Not at all. Not even a little bit. Like the number of people.
Sorry, that is just not what's going on.
I posted something about saying that capitalism, you've been lied to about capitalism. People associate capitalism with freedom. And capitalism is the opposite of freedom, because unless you're at the top of the fucking pie chart, man. Like if you're I guess a pyramid.
It's a giant Ponzi scheme.
Yeah, like if you are at the top, yeah, you're free, because like it gives you that.
Pay your way out of anything.
But if you're not, like, it is total bullshit, and it's a lie. And people who adamantly will argue with me about the benefits of millionaires, and I'm like, motherfucker, I'm way closer to that target. I'm way closer to that tax bracket than you are, and I'm telling you, you're wrong. You're wrong.
Yeah.
Like, it won't hurt me. Tax me more, motherfucker. It won't hurt me.
By the way,
our
okay. Generation has as much saved as millennials do, so we're not really saving any more money. We've been around for 20 more years.
I know people
more money. So
I know people who don't make six figures who will get angry about a tax against millionaires. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why would you possibly care? Other than capitalism and part of the American dream, everybody thinks that one day they could be. And and I'm like, that's fine. That's fine to believe that. That's fine. That's beautiful. Just vote socialist until you are.
Right. Well, my thing is though, like, we're in our 40s. I mean, sure, it is possible that we could become millionaires. I would be. I'm excited to make that happen. But also, I'll deal with those taxes when the fuck like.
Yeah.
If you've never been without something, you don't understand how willing you are to give up a decent portion of something that you get. You know what I mean? I had this discussion with a coworker not too long ago where I was talking about hiring somebody myself to do a part of a job that I wanted to do. Yeah. And he was like, well, if you just wait, at some point, and I'm like, I'm not trying to wait. Like, I'm willing to give up some money today to have a big amount of income that's going to come off of that. Like, I'm willing to do that. And so, like, I don't know, we're in our 40s now, we're older, so the chance at opportunity is less for us as well. So, like, we are further out of the range of, I think it's ridiculous if you're over 35, you're not a millionaire yet, and you are pretty sure you're going to be. You know what I mean? Like, I may be 100,000 there someday, which is great, but like, that would be that. Honestly, like, what the fuck are you trying to buy? What are you trying?
It's not even. I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with you can be 50 and have aspirations, but if you're not actually doing the thing,
I'm all for aspirations.
If you're not actually doing the thing that's gonna make you $1 million,
right?
Shut the fuck. Like, if you work for somebody else and that's all you're doing right now, like I said, until you are, vote socialist.
Well, you can also believe
if you have a job, if you're relying on a paycheck. If you are relying on a paycheck, vote socialist.
You can also believe that there are. You can also believe that there are social causes that are worth voting for, and still there are opportunities to make money. Like, you can still start a business and believe in helping people that have less than you do, or the marginalized. Like, those things can coexist at the same time. In fact, you can become a millionaire by working in those areas.
One of the biggest there's two huge lies that the people who think socialism is horrible tell. One of them is they tell people if you tax the wealthy, that'll disincentivize people because they won't expand their business because you'll just take all the money in taxes. That's the exact opposite of what happens. When you take all the money in taxes, people who have ingenuity, people who have the ability to have
you have a finance degree, right?
Yeah.
Okay, just so we're clear, just so we know what we're talking about.
People who have the capacity for industry. They don't. When you tax the shit out of them, they don't stop their fucking business.
No,
they expand the fuck out of their business and figure out ways. Because one of the things that happens when you tax people on their personal income, one of the things that wealthy billionaires do is, instead of taking huge fucking paychecks every year, they decide to put all the money in the business and expand the business, because that won't get taxed, and they can defer it until a later time when they'll get taxed either less or they can mitigate the tax. They don't fucking just stay. Like Amazon, Jeff Bezos is not. If you tax him 50%, he's not going to be like, fuck it, Amazon's closed.
Right.
Like, well, no, you're not getting your shit now because I don't like the tax. He's not going to do that. He's going to make Amazon better.
What will happen is
so he can make more fucking money and figure out ways to diversify it.
He'll figure out ways to fill the gaps. That's what the people that already have billions of dollars have them, because they know how to make the money big enough that no matter what you take from them, they've got enough.
When America made its
their
biggest
gimmick.
advances in the world, when we became the superpower financially of the world, the tax rate on the most wealthy people was 70%.
Right.
It was 70% when Apple was founded. It was 70% when Microsoft was founded. It was 70% up until that old movie star bastard cut it. And America was doing fucking great.
Right. What he did is he got bought out by corporations. I mean, that's so. What happened is when we were kids, while our dads were going to jail, the rich old white dads from the previous generation were like, what we'll do is we'll set it up so that corporations can now put money into politics, and then they can act as people, and then we can get the money back into our pockets because we can put people into office who will satisfy our business interests, which will in turn get our CEOs paid, which will in turn get our owners paid a shit ton of money. That was the gimmick. That was the whole gimmick.
And and they keep the shit that's crazy about it is, like, if you don't know, and James, I'm gonna ask you to look up that if you look at like wages for like the last 40 years, wages versus inflation. Wages haven't changed, and obviously things are more expensive. Gas is more expensive, cars more expensive, homes are substantially more expensive. The first house my mom bought,
that's why the unemployment rate doesn't mean shit.
$20,000. I think she paid $20,000 for the first house.
But that's why the unemployment rate doesn't mean shit. Like there's a false thing that's happening, and the reason why we talk about other stuff is because there's also this false belief that the only people that exist in this argument are the baby boomers. Who don't want who think young people are crazy and idiots and don't know what they're fucking talking about.
And I'm not paying for nothing.
Yeah, and young people who are like, you don't understand. You're literally choking us out. We're living 5 and 6 in a home, and we all have 3 jobs, and none of us have any money. And we're sitting here, and we're the Generation X who are going, by the way, we are also broke. We are. I know no one has asked, but we are also broke. This is also you old people's fault. And so we are adding our voice to that of those who are younger than us. If you think if your attack on younger people's ideas before has been they haven't had enough experience, we the experience are telling you that old people are full of shit.
Okay, and by the way, I'm about to put it on the motherfucking clock because I want like a 1-minute rant about baby boomers because I'm tired of some shit that baby boomers say. So hold up.
Oh, you're gonna go on a 1-minute rant about baby boomers?
1-minute rant starting now. Greatest generation suck my dick. Here's the deal. Greatest generation in America, you won World War II, you sat on your fucking asses until like 6 million Jews got killed, and then you said, oh yeah, by the way, side note, you can look this fucking up. Pearl Harbor, they knew about it the night before, motherfuckers. They let it happen just so they had a reason to go to war. Europe was completely destroyed. Europe was fucking crushed. And when Europe was crushed, America, basically through the Bretton Woods Treaty, made our currency the #1 currency, and we had factories that did a bunch of shit. And because of that, that gave us the capacity to dominate the shit out of Europe. But we are not fucking better than them. And the greatest generation that thinks they did so much great shit, they didn't have any fucking competition. Everybody else had went to war, and they were all bombed the fuck, and you guys just fucking stepped in and took it over, and now you don't want to share. So suck my dick.
That's been a minute on why the baby boomer generation sucks from XL. Yeah, I mean that is
that was a minute spot on
pretty
and
strong
very fucking
argument.
Historically accurate too.
But I mean, we see ourselves now in a place where we're in the same boat as the generation coming after us, which is we are pretty much fucked. We are fucked to hell. And so, and not only that, like not only from a fiscal standpoint, but on a social standpoint, I feel like we side a little bit more. Which is, you know, the real thing about this first episode that we want to talk about was, you know, and the reason why we lean in hard on the fact that we had a generation of dads stolen from us is that we have we've been built on false heroes. We're a generation raised on recognizing that those heroes are false, which we displayed out in songs like "Fuck the Police" from when we were kids. Never mind, you know, I mean, those are the things that drove us. So that's how we get to here. And we have a generation who's there now. And so, like, when it comes to issues like you deal with shit like Jussie Smollett, the kid who just got beaten, and we're dealing with these stories now of people now challenging the story as to whether that's real or not. And it's like, first of all, who the fuck is faking getting a noose tied around? Like, what type of publicity do you think you're trying to gain?
I don't get why. I don't get why somebody thinks somebody would fake that. Right. I still don't understand. People still to this day, like somebody's a rape victim, feel like
bias.
It's totally homophobia bias. It's 100%. If he wasn't,
which is a
gay,
large problem in the black community.
If it was
like in the modern era, in the modernized, forward-thinking, more open than ever black community, this is still a big fucking problem.
And it's insane that it's a problem. It's insane that it's a problem for two reasons. One, black men, best gays in the game. All right, number one gays. If you were having a gay guy draft pick, I guarantee
the dopest at being gay.
I guarantee you, the number one pick is gonna be a badass bitch. A badass bitch, and it's gonna be a black dude.
Yeah,
and he's gonna have some new slang or some shit that you never heard of before.
Absolutely.
But my point is this: that, and also, gay people are everywhere in the black community, and the black community just kind of like ignores it when they ignore the hairdresser, they ignore the choir director, they ignore like all these people who are just a ubiquitous part, like just here everywhere in the community, but they have these really fucking hateful views that come out when something like this happens.
Which is ridiculous because
and
so much black shit is also kind of gay.
It really is.
Like,
it really is.
Come on, brother. You wearing a bright royal blue matching 3-piece suit with a matching top hat to church, my nigga?
Yeah.
And you fuck women? Like, no, hey, dog. You're a gay criminal genius is what you are. Like,
dude, the entire shit of saying pause and no homo. Saying pause and no homo because the way you structured words could be interpreted to be something sexual towards another man is absurd. I mean, you had to be thinking of fucking that dude to think that you sounded like you wanted to fuck that dude.
Our dopest R&B singers are largely sopranos who are mostly effeminate, like from Tevin Campbell on through. Just gay or not, it's just like it leans towards what you would stereotypically label as,
especially our generation,
at least effeminate.
Like if you look at Dr. Dre,
which I'm in favor of, but I'm not in favor of shitting on people for being gay when so much of the culture kind of leans into it.
Ice-T. Technically, Ice-T is probably the creator of gangster rap. She could probably get the title of creator of gangster rap. But Dr. Dre is probably for West Coast rap.
Cool G rap on the East Coast and Ice-T on the West Coast.
There you go. And Dr. Dre, if you look at Dr. Dre right before fucking NWA came out.
With the shiny suit?
Yeah. And makeup, like eyeliner. He has eyeliner on.
That was the move.
Like,
it was all androgynous gender confusion going on in the 80s. Dude. There was a lot of blow. There was a lot of...
But shit, even now...
Blow make you try eyeliner. I'm telling you.
I can tell you right now, I'm not going to say on this podcast because I have no idea if we have 1 person, 100 people. I don't know who's watching, and I know... if any white people watch this, y'all the type of motherfuckers that go do this shit. So I'm not going to tell you where to go do the shit, but I know places in Chicago where you can see actual real live in action pimps.
Oh, yeah.
And those motherfuckers got better hair, nails.
Yeah. They're all done up. Pedicure, manicured, the whole deal.
By the way, I pedicure quite regularly.
Yeah.
I love it. It feels amazing. You should do it. If you don't, it's not. There's nothing wrong with it.
You're also a giant who needs to take care of your feet so they will hold you up for the rest of your life. That's a lot of you to be taken around.
Fair enough. But I could do it myself. I choose not to because $45 to have a woman massage my ankles is awesome.
Good deal, dude.
At the same time, the defense of R. Kelly is a thing that is also ridiculous.
Who's still defending R. Kelly?
A lot of people, a lot of black people.
I live up here. I don't know.
There's 37% of black Twitter is still defending R.
Kelly. And adamantly.
Oh, yeah.
No, there's people that you know personally.
Didn't you see his birthday party where there was still a gang of motherfuckers that were there? There were still women throwing themselves at R. Kelly.
Bitch, do you not see the tape? You way too old. What are you doing? You are outaged by at least 6 years, and you're only 24.
There is an underlying thing that is weird that still goes on here because we are this weird Puritan place. But that issue of like underage and what is acceptable between someone who's an adult and underage is weird. How and where and when and for how long we let shit slide.
And there's also like, look, if you're a person that says, hey, why you always got to bring race into it? Because race is always a fucking part of it. Yeah. And part of it is if R. Kelly had raped one girl named Becky from Indiana, from Northwest Indiana, already. Who just so happened to have like a little bit of junk in her trunk and listen to R&B. He'd be under the jail. Yeah. Like he'd be dead as fuck. But it's a bunch.
They tried to get Kobe on that shit.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know the Kobe story. I don't know what exactly he did, but I know as a white chick, I know he had to buy his wife a gigantic diamond ring.
Was it 6 carats? I think something like that.
I know there's an issue about anal with a white chick in Colorado. I know his wife got the biggest ring I'd ever seen, and I only know it's the biggest ring I've ever seen because still to this day, it's the only ring that I haven't bought myself that I remember exactly what it looks like. And I've been married. I bought a wedding ring and an engagement ring. It was
canary yellow, right?
Oh yeah, I remember the Kobe Bryant wife ring.
Yeah. Kobe Bryant,
8 carats.
He presented that. He presented that to her at the sideline of a game or some shit. Just like let everybody in the stadium and all the millions watching at home know.
A game he scored 57.
Yeah, it's gonna drop 57. The game winner dunked on his own teammate to win. Presented her the ring at the sideline.
I gotta be honest. I believe the story with Kobe, if I could be wrong, I believe it was consensual sex. The anal was the part she said no to, and then he tried to go through it anyway. And he bought the thing, but I don't know. I don't know what happened. I hope that wasn't rape. I hope it was misunderstanding, but it probably was. But I don't know. But one of the worst things he did, one of the worst things on top of that he did, was sitting outside with the police when they were talking to him, and literally said the phrase on tape to police. What does she want? Money. That's what Shaq usually does. He just pays them. And that's why Shaq and Kobe didn't talk to each other for 15 years.
Ruined the whole goddamn dynasty.
Ruined the dynasty because he
got caught on tape.
Just randomly pulled a Rudy Giuliani.
It was like, what does Shaq do?
What does Shaq? Yeah, Shaq usually just pays him off when shit like that happens.
And then they got
made it hot for Shaq.
And then they got into a rap battle. They got into a really terrible rap battle.
Really terrible rap battle.
They decided to remember rhyming words about each other and yell them at each other.
Shout out to
on separate recordings.
This some more Gen X shit.
The weirdest way for adult men to settle arguments with each other.
Some more Gen X shit. Shout out to Allen Iverson for ruining gangster rap for NBA artists forever. Not because he was a bad rapper, but because he was a straight up gangster rapper when he was also the MVP of the NBA. And you can't do both of those things. You can't do
That's why we're
talking about shooting niggas. You can't be talking about shooting niggas and shooting J's.
Practice?
Yeah.
I mean, Aaron Hernandez.
Woo.
How do you feel about he's at the high end of our spectrum. How do you feel about Louis C.K. being back in the mix? With our progressive attitudes towards things, with our, ideally, I think we both try to lean towards the feminist perspective towards
I'm a huge Louis C.K. fan, but people aren't ready for him to come back, so he can't come back. If the audience, comedy is not the only, everything in entertainment is an audience based thing, man.
Right.
Like people got to dig what the fuck you do. People got to want to pay to see you. If people want to pay to see you, R. Kelly, as disgusting and as much as I can't understand it, people want to pay to see him. So like when you're talking about like we got to get rid of Jay-Z, he did a track with him. Hey man, people pay to see R. Kelly. If you gonna pay to see him, you motherfuckers are at fault, not Jay-Z. Jay-Z's trying to keep a career going. You pay if you buying the tickets. So if people are paying to see him and want to see him, then it is what it is. People are paying to see Bill Cosby. I can't do it.
Right.
I can't do it. I'm not paying to see Louis C.K. right now.
I don't want to get into the.
Will I one day? 10 years from now? Maybe. I don't know.
I think the worst part about that happens with these arguments is people get caught up in minutiae of parts of things that aren't even the thing. Like they'll get off into this argument where they start arguing about whether he was convicted of anything or not. Like that's the thing that like it's only a problem if you get convicted.
Yeah.
Like you can't be a piece of shit if you don't go to jail for it. Like
because you got good lawyers.
You can still just because the chicks didn't decide to fucking take you to court for it, you're still a piece of shit.
That's one of the reasons why I hedged on the Kobe thing because I do know the story and I'm pretty sure he lawyered his way the fuck out of that.
Oh yeah.
Like there was some sketchy information about her, and his lawyers was just like that one thing about her That's the thing you need to focus on, and everybody did.
My feeling about Louis, and my thoughts on a lot of this stuff, because it's I do think that there are times when you get caught doing something you shouldn't do, that you got to go sit down for a little while, right? Like, the thing that upsets me about Louis is that I would feel happier if he literally would come out and take a full on. I fucked some shit. I fucked up. Not the one where it's like they were so enamored with me and how great I am that they let me pull my dick out, which was essentially the first apology, which was like, I'm sorry that I'm so awesome that these ladies let me pull my dick out in front of them and didn't say anything. That was the first apology. That was his apology.
I didn't know that. That was his first apology.
Essentially, it was pretty much just like, I mean, I was so dope that like and I had so much power that I could see how when I was like, and I put my dick out, how someone might not be like, no. So I'm sorry that I was so incredible that these ladies. So like, it would be great if he was like, look, I fucked up. It was stupid. I shouldn't have done that. I would like to win my way back by being able to be out and prove that I'm an all right, decent fucking person. And then if people want to pay to go see him, and a venue wants to pump, they should be able to. Everybody should know what they're going into. You should know, like, if Louis is going to be doing a show, you should know that you're going to see Louis. And people should feel free to support or not support venues that put him on. I think it's depending on I don't know who decides what venues have what is a cancelable offense.
I think the number of people who are willing to say I'm still buying a ticket.
Sure, but I mean, when you're dealing with the judgment of others who are looking at a situation, right? Like there was an article that came out that were like, here are 17 club vendors and whether they would put Louis C.K. on, and then that circles around and everybody just like, we can see the places you should never ever do comedy at, and it's like kind of, but like. Okay, so you're drawing the line at you're not going to do comedy at a place if they'll put a guy up who at one point misused his power in a way that the women at the time never went to the police on and said they were opposed to, but at this point also said, fuck it, it's over, although he sucks. Okay, so that's where the line is today. But tomorrow is the line going to be, here's a guy that said a joke that was that we personally find offensive tomorrow. And so now if you do a show at like... It's important to be very clear on, and I'm not saying it's fine with whatever we decide as a group is the thing it should be, but we should definitely figure out what it is because
I think it's a case by case thing.
Because here's the thing: I'm a guy in my 40s. I'm not trying to not be who I am, but I'm also not trying to just shit on marginalized people for the fuck of it either. And so it's always nice to know like where that line is, but we should definitely figure out where that line is.
Yeah,
right? Like that.
I mean, I don't know. I say, like I said, it's tough. It's tough because, like, I'll say, like, it's an audience thing, but then I'm disgusted by the people who still fuck with R. Kelly. Right. So I can see people who are disgusted by people who still fuck with.
Did they do the same thing, Louis and R. Kelly?
No, they did not even close.
No,
right. not even close. But
that's probably why you can assuage yourself from Louis a little bit.
But I still feel like everybody, from the person who supports R. Kelly, they could look at me and be like, "Well, you're a fucking hypocrite."
No, those are two different people.
Those are those are two completely
different people.
I agree.
Is Louis C.K. Harvey Weinstein? No.
No.
If you're defending Harvey Weinstein, you should also go to jail.
By the way,
by
the way, you know the thing I hate the most about Harvey Weinstein? The thing I hate the fucking most about Harvey Weinstein is that Bill Cosby was the rape monster for only like a month, and then fucking Harvey Weinstein just took over the fucking Hollywood rape monster.
Can't have shit.
He like stole the title from Bill Cosby. Basically, white people don't let black people have shit.
Black people can't have anything.
We can't have shit.
Just we love culturally appropriated the rape shit too.
So here's a new development on Louis. So he last week addressed his jerk off allegations on stage.
Okay.
It was a joke he used to address it, but he's still
I'm comfortable. I'm okay with that.
He's now talking about it.
If he can work it out, and here's the thing too is like. I get it. I'm polyamorous.
I'm a neutral party, by the way.
I'm polyamorous. I talk about it on stage. I've been polyamorous for years. I am just now getting to the point where I actually am creating humor that is working for it.
Sure.
I think Louis been at it longer than I have, so maybe his ability to write material should come a little bit quicker than mine when it comes to me. Yeah. But also, as long as if he's going to start getting to a place where he is going to reveal that part and get there, I'm for it, because I also think like, okay, so if we're not going to let, like when Michael Vick came back and played football again after he was gone, I was like, well, what job is acceptable to a guy who spent his whole life, like, I get punishment for a period of time, but then also you have an adult human being who's got to make an income and live somehow. So like, what are you allowed to do?
Well, and people are like, well, you shouldn't. Like, you don't have a right to be a comic, and I was like, I got a right to be a person doing a thing.
I'd prefer to,
and I happen to have this skill set.
Here's my thing with Louis. I'd have preferred he waited longer and or gave a better mea culpa. Or if it's coming, then I'm open to hearing it.
It's coming. It's slowly coming.
But and that's how I feel about it. And I think that people would be a lot more willing to forgive if people nowadays were willing to say they fucked up.
You should.
But everybody wants to dance around. Everybody wants to dance around it. Everybody wants to. And this is again, this comes from being in our generation too, of not having a dad around, or having at least parents available, whether it's dad or whether it's having enough parents that someone would be available to teach you how to take responsibility, and with the okayness of being wrong. Sometimes it's got to be okay to be wrong.
I wonder if CK could go on like Sam B. Sam B show.
Oh.
I can't remember the name of her show right now. I love it. I watch it every fucking week. I just always just say Sam B because it's Sam B. But she has a show on TNT.
Yeah, I know the show.
But anyway, he'd have to go on a night show. He'd have to go on like a late show to do the thing.
Yeah.
And there's only one woman with a late show right now. Right. So
which is also
that's a problem unto itself. There's a problem unto itself. Like, this isn't a daytime.
That, right?
He can't go on Ellen. Like,
they canceled Sarah Silverman's "I Love You, America."
He
so
could go on Ellen. Yeah, he could go on Ellen, but it's not. I don't think Ellen's the same because
Ellen is losing credibility quickly after
the Kevin Hart thing.
Yeah, with the Kevin Hart shit, she's got her own shit she's dealing with. All the gay people are just like, you're not gay enough anymore.
Okay, by the way, this is an awesome segue.
That is the shit that happens. Trust me, as a guy who is constantly challenged on his blackness.
We gotta stop. We also, like, okay, here's the thing.
We just don't have leadership that's taught us how to be responsible for, like we're going back and looking at all these tweets. It's just like, yeah, everybody fucked up. Like, we're all a bunch of fucking.
And it's not even just fucked up. You can't judge me. Like, okay, we know more now than we did then, right. Okay? We are a more progressive society than we were then. So if I said something that was homophobic in 1998, and you're like, he said this in 1998, he said homophobic thing.
Look at the movies and songs that were in 98.
You're fucking moronic to try to judge me today if my life today...
Right.
It's clearly not that.
Right. I've obviously evolved.
Yeah.
If
I'm on stage still saying that shit, or if you still see me with tweets saying that shit, yeah,
what you guys think about James Gunn?
I thought that was really bad. I thought it sucked. I thought it sucked that they took
for him.
I thought it sucked for him. I thought that was a stupid thing. They pulled up things that were like obviously ridiculous off the wall. Which, you want to scold a guy, you want to like have him put out a retractment, or I fucked up however many years ago.
Which he already did, by the way, before that.
Yeah, which he'd already done. That's the other thing, too, is like,
That's the same thing with Kevin Hart.
I only need the one.
He had apologized for all that stuff.
I just need the one legit apology from you. That's all. I just want the one legit apology.
Or do you even need an apology at that point? It's been as many years.
So here's the thing. Because again,
if you haven't apologized and someone brings it up, it should be okay for you to be like, yeah, you're right. That was some old shit I just left on there. Okay. It was dumb. Obviously, that's not what I feel.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, this is the point of this whole podcast, is there are no heroes. There are supervillains. There are supervillains. There are villains. There are bad guys. And then there are good people who are trying to be good people that occasionally fuck up and do some bad shit, but for the most part are trying to be good. That is all there is.
If you can't identify the difference between a decent dude that made a mistake and a bad guy, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah.
Like
male,
the shit with Chris
female,
Rock,
transgender,
Chris Rock. We started this out with Chris Rock and Louis C.K. talking about Chris Rock and Louis C.K.
Yeah,
I had a black comic going to task after me going after Chris Rock. Chris Rock is like one of the blackest fucking people in Hollywood. Are you fucking kidding me? You're questioning Chris Rock's blackness.
You don't think he's got enough control over a room to be able to allow a guy to say nigger or not?
For one thing, well, what your question? Like, well, maybe we need to question his blackness. Like, no, you don't. No, you don't. If you sound like a climate change denier that says like, well, the 2% of science says maybe we need to question the whole fucking thing. You sound like a fucking moron. Everything about Chris Rock has been nothing about advancing black people and advancing blackness. And like you saw one scene and out of context without knowing anything else, and then you go and question his blackness.
Look,
that's insane.
If Chris Rock lets somebody who isn't black say nigger around Chris Rock, then that person can say nigger around me by default.
That's exactly what
Chris Rock has done so much more for blackness and black people.
Like, are you fucking kidding me? You talking about the dude that made Bigger and Blacker? That Chris Rock. We're not talking about another Chris Rock, like a Chris Rock that lived down the street, a light-skinned nigga that just happened to have the same name. You're talking about Chris
Everybody
motherfucking
hates
Rock.
Chris Rock.
Saturday Night Live. Chris Rock, one of the most amazing motherfuckers on the planet, Chris Rock.
That's
crazy. You questioning him?
It's crazy. And of
Get
course,
the fuck out of here. Of course, man. Your body of work got to mean something.
We also have a leader of the country who is, if you can call him that, who is the example of not having legit heroes. Because listen, if you are still supporting him, it's just because you hate people of color. There's really no other
racist.
There's nothing else to it. Or you're too secure in your corporate deal. You got a corporate situation that you're tight in, and you need this man to push your shit through. That's it. I just can't. You're Russian. Those are the only.
I think there is a huge contingency of people who just don't want to be wrong. And here, and what I mean by that is, you've been in this situation. I want everybody listening to this to think about this scenario. That scenario when you're fighting with your significant other, and you realize somewhere in the fight that you are the one who fucked up.
I don't fuck that
It was your thing, but your significant other is being extra with the shit, and they going at it. You are not about to fucking confess that you're wrong. You gonna keep that shit in because the other was being extra and you don't want to fucking turn. And I believe people who are supporting Trump right now, because it is so
lose that ground.
Blatantly obvious. Like, we have people. I have never been on for that motherfucker. I am so anti him. He's the only person on planet Earth that I actually, when people say hate is a strong word, don't say hate. Right. He's the person hate was made for. Right. Like, I hate him. I hate him. I hate him. I don't care what anybody says. Write me. I hate him. Right. I hate him. If he fell in a vat of acid, I cheer. I hate him. I hate him.
I want to be extremely clear.
I don't want to murder him. I don't want to murder him. I don't want to do anything to him.
No. We say be okay.
I'm saying if he tripped into a vat of acid,
on his own, like I'm visiting an acid plant.
Exactly, an acid plant.
To lie about the jobs I'm gonna let him keep.
By the way, full points to Secret Service if they let him go to an acid plant. Like, we see you about the fucking furlough wages.
Yeah,
we see you.
I am a firm believer that his presidency is the result of interference by a foreign power that he is aware of in some way, and that at some point will be a problem for him. And his willingness, his willingness to roll with it,
real nice.
His willingness to roll with it is why why I find him to be a personal enemy. Because, like, despite all of the shit, all my issues with this country, we're the original conspiracy theory generation. MK Ultra was our generation. Behold the Pale Horse was our generation. InfoWars, that's our generation. That's all our shit.
COINTELPRO.
We came up through all that shit. But the reason why I have an issue with him is because, despite all of that shit, I was still born on this patch of land, and I'm still a big supporter of, like, the idea of what this place could be, and he is, it feels like, purposefully not giving a fuck about it, right? Like, in the past when I disagreed with people on politics, it was still about different versions of, like, an American ideal, and his is not. And that's as easy as I can put it. He's trying to give money to he's trying to give money to Russian billionaires. He's trying to support these regimes that are dictatorships. He's trying to keep all this shit going. And he's also trying to, like, The thing about the Republican Party is that they are believers in small government. And in the past, that used to mean arguing to not let bills pass that would grow the size of the government. Yeah. But today, the role of the Republican Party is to try and make the government look so dysfunctional that people decide that they can't trust it and therefore they can take it apart. That is the gimmick now, is to not just try and present an idea that says it's a bad idea to grow the government, because we've already started to argue about things that would make the government have to grow in size, like universal health care, all that shit. So the goal of the Republican Party now is to make government look like it doesn't work right. And that's why you're getting shutdowns. That's why you're getting this standoff about. That's why you're getting these, this push for Republican judges in, because they're just trying to make it look like the shit doesn't work, and then nobody trusts anymore, which I find to be a tremendous flaw.
I know we're not supposed to call Republicans stupid. We're not supposed to say people who voted for Trump are stupid. But here's why they're stupid. They're stupid. They're stupid. Here's why they're stupid. They vote for people who tell them government is bad.
Right.
So so here's the thing. And if I go to a dentist, I got some dental work I need to get. If I go to a dentist and his belief that teeth are bad, I'm not fucking going to that dentist.
Well, and here's on the flip side, the reality is you want to be careful, because you don't want there to be government. You don't want the government to be too far in control, right? You want to have some personal freedom, but
I believe there's a difference between believing government is bad and limited government.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
They literally their approach at this point is that government is bad.
Right.
That government is your enemy.
Yeah.
Government is never the enemy. We are the government.
That's
what
people
don't give
it.
The
people are the government.
We're the government.
The ones controlling the ones who are going there and what they decide to vote on. We can vote them out. We can eliminate them. We could eat the rich if we decided to, because there aren't enough of them, and there are billions of us. We could do that if we wanted to do that too. I think that's a pretty solid first show, I think, to get us started, to kind of let us know where people are and where we are. What do you got coming up this week? Do you have anything going on?
I am performing someplace next week and a couple places the week after that. No, I'm gonna give a big shout out to this. I'm in Milwaukee on the 17th. Diamond Eye Productions. It's like a post Valentine's Day, jokes and jams. Valentine. It's a jokes and jams thing. It's popping off. It's Milwaukee. Doors open at 5 p.m. Showtime starts at 6. The tickets are $20 with a free raffle. Holla, come see me, Mr. Black, T-Dog Kingsby, Chastity Washington. That's my homegirl. Chastity is dope as fuck. And just go to my XL Comedy at XL Comedy on Twitter, or XL Comedy on Facebook, or XavierLamont.com to get information about the joint. It's the Jokes and Jams in Milwaukee at Mr. J's Lounge, Jazz and Blues Lounge at 4610 West Fond du Lac Avenue in Milwaukee, bitches.
Nice. What's your social media? Where can they find you?
At XL Comedy or at XL Comedy Show on Twitter, IG, and Facebook.
Nice. February 8th, I will be at the Laugh Factory at 10 o'clock for Chicago's Best Stand-Up.
Pew,
it
pew,
is
pew.
a Friday night show. We'll be here, I think, next week for show number 2.
Yes, we will.
This week has been all about killing your heroes and fuck the hero worship, and we'll figure out what next week is, and we'll have that out to you guys before then. You can find me at Mocha_Jesus on Twitter and Instagram, and it's Bobby Hill on Facebook. You can go to People of Comedy Network.
Yeah, on Instagram. Yeah.
On Instagram, and that's you can find them on there. Guys, thank you guys so much for listening to the show. Shout out to James Webb, our wonderful producer, for having us on.
Hey.
Big shout out to my little cuz, Go Hayes. The track you listening to, dope ass artist out of Shy, Southside Shy. Go Hayes, the track that track bumping. You feeling it? It's my little cousin. He's nice.
That's been Xavier Lamont. My name is Bobby Hill. Thanks to our sponsor, John Renew, People of Comedy. That's it for us. That's what's up.
Hey.
Peace.
They said we couldn't do it, now we do it just to say we did it. Fuck a critic on my pivot. I've been ballin'. Engine louder than some pain when I started.